I loved taking nightly walks with my faithful dog companion Duke. We always went for a walk in the nearby woods, which was the perfect place to clear my head after a long and tiring day at work. The dense trees, the peaceful silence, and the company of my furry friend were all I needed to feel relaxed and rejuvenated. One evening, as we were walking in the lonely road in the dense fog, Duke suddenly wiggled out of his leash and darted away into the woods. Panicked, I called out for my dog, but there was no response. I could hear nothing but the rustling of leaves, which now seemed ominous in the dense fog. As I made my way into the forest, searching for my beloved Duke, I suddenly noticed a strange figure lurking in the shadows. At first, I was disorientated as I tried to focus on the dark figure. But as I moved closer, I got a better glimpse of the figure. It was undoubtedly humanoid in shape and size, and standing still, as if it was watching me with intense interest. I felt a chill run down my spine. I couldn't make out the face of the figure, but I knew it wasn't human. I kept staring at the figure, frozen in fear. But the figure made no attempt to move, and it almost seemed as if it was studying my every move. Not knowing what to do, I decided it was time to leave. I bolted back to the deserted road and kept running until I reached my car. I was too terrified to turn back to see if I was being followed or not. As I calmed down, I realized that Duke was still nowhere to be found. I knew that I had to go back and find my furry companion. Braving my fears, I got out of the car and headed back into the forest with a flashlight in hand and my heart beating out of his chest. Suddenly, I heard Duke's familiar bark and followed the sound, running towards the spot where Duke was crying out. To my immense relief, I found Duke sitting tangle-chested in a bush. I grabbed Duke and hugged him tight, feeling grateful that I had found him. However, as I turned around to head back to my car, I caught a glimpse of the figure again, distinct and definite in the eerie light, watching me and Duke, unmoving and silently observing our every move. I decided not to look back and kept walking. I didn't speak a word about the figure to anyone, not even my close friends and family, but I knew for sure I would never go for night walks with Duke again. Slowly but surely, the legend of the Green Man crept its way into the collective consciousness of Western Pennsylvania. Parents whispered it to their children, and those children grew up to pass it down to their own offspring. Charlie, without a face, as he was also known, was said to wander the streets at night, searching for his prey. But of course, the story had its roots in reality, the unfortunate fate of a man named Raymond Robinson. In 1919, 8-year-old Robinson suffered a horrific electrocution on a bridge outside Beaver Falls, losing both eyes, his nose, part of one ear, and one arm. He was forced to live in seclusion, away from the cruelty of those who jeered and taunted him for his appearance. But at night, Robinson would venture out, taking long walks with his trusty white cane, always alone. It wasn't long before Robinson became the stuff of legend. Rumors spread that he had been a power company worker who'd been struck by a fallen line, leading to his death and subsequent resurrection. Some claimed he was disfigured by a lightning strike. Others spoke of a glowing green color to his skin. In truth, the stories had little to do with the reality of Robinson's life. Despite being hit by cars multiple times, Robinson refused to let the cruel, fear-mongering rumors keep him from his solitary walks. He would even tolerate brief conversations and photographs with some locals who gathered along his path. But as the years went on, the legend only grew. Mysteriously, Robinson disappeared in 1968, and no one knew where he'd gone. Some said he was dead, that the rumors about his death had finally come true. But others believed he still walked somewhere, hidden from the public eye. Decades later, in 2006, a group of teenagers were driving along State Route 351 when they spotted a figure in the distance. As they got closer, they realized it was the Green Man, or someone who looked just like him. He was standing by the side of the road, staring at them with empty eye sockets. They tried to take a picture, but their camera wouldn't work. Then, as they drove away, their car began to shake uncontrollably, as though something was trying to stop them from leaving. The story of the sighting spread like wildfire, and people came from all over to try and catch a glimpse of the Green Man for themselves. But no one else reported seeing him. It was as though Robinson had appeared just for that group of teenagers, and no one else. To this day, no one knows what happened to Raymond Robinson, or whether the figure those teenagers saw was really the Green Man. But his legend lives on, captivating and terrifying those who dare to venture down State Route 351. For years I worked as a pizza delivery man in a small town and knew almost every customer by name. One evening, however, a strange order came in that sent a shiver down my spine. It was for a pepperoni pizza, and the delivery location was a field outside of town that had an infamous and creepy reputation. My instincts told me it was not safe to make the delivery, but I did not want to disappoint a customer. However, the closer I got to the abandoned field, the greater my anxiety became. My heart pounded as I placed the pizza box on the ground near the old sign. As I turned to leave, my curiosity got the better of me, and I hid behind a nearby oak tree, hoping to catch a glimpse of the orderer. Suddenly, a strange creature emerged from the shadows. It was the Rat King, a ball of tail paws, a huge pile of rats tangled in their tails, and they headed straight for the pizza box. The Rat King was a terrible sight. His fur was matted and oily. His broken, sharp teeth glistened in the darkness and sent a shiver of fear down my spine. I couldn't believe my eyes as I watched the Rat King's minions devour the pizza in seconds. The creatures were terribly hungry and aggressive, their teeth tearing through the crust and cheese. Suddenly, it seemed as if their angry eyes were on me, and I realized the gravity of the situation. I rushed out of my shelter, my heart pounding in my chest, and didn't stop until I reached the safety of my hideout. My heart pounding in my chest, and didn't stop until I reached the safety of my home. The thought of who would order a pizza for the Rat King haunts me to this day. Despite experiencing a terrifying encounter with the Rat King, I kept the incident to myself and didn't disclose it to anyone, not my boss, nor my friends, or family. However, I couldn't shake off the fear and anxiety that came with the encounter, and nightmares plagued me for weeks. Eventually, I decided to do some research on the legendary creature, and stumbled upon an old book in a second-hand store that revealed information on the Rat King. I discovered that the Rat King was an ancient symbol of famine, disease, and death. Crossing paths with the Rat King was deemed a sign of impending doom, marked for death. Realizing how perilously close I had come to losing my life that night, I shuddered at the thought. Time was passing. I almost began to forget that strange incident. Until, late that night, I got a call. A husky male voice ordered a pepperoni pizza, and the delivery location was a field outside of town.